Two. Okay. Hi. Hey, I have a really important guest right now, and it's really exciting. This is the lead author of a very important study on lipedema, Dr. Vincenza Cifarelli, and really important insights into lipedema were from this paper, and we're going to get down into it. So uh, thanks and Dr. Cifarelli, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. It's good to see you. And it's good to see you today because this week we got the news that our manuscript was accepted in the Journal of Diabetes, which is a leading journal in the field of obesity, diabetes, and metabolism. So it's a very great time to talk about lipedema.
Yeah, I'm putting some reactions here. Yeah, and we love this, and yep, and okay, so so now, so yeah, this is that's a very the diabetes journal, very good journal and very good work. And this is and I'm really proud to be. I was a part of this a little bit, but not nearly as much. The real hard work was done by you and Gordon Smith, and thank you so much for this work. So I wanted to kind of this is really important because it gives us some really um, insights. We understanding that we've but until this we did this work. There was some misunderstanding about whether you can lose weight in your legs with lipedema, and so if you want to, do you want to, and you showed in this paper, our study showed that it can. And could you please elaborate and expand on that? And
Right. So this was a study that was funded by the Lipedema Foundation in partnership with Dr. Samuel Klein at Washington University School of Medicine. And so the reason why we conducted this study was to really increase our understanding of the pathophysiology of lipedema and the effect of weight loss. And so one of the questions that we tried to answer with this study was whether or not there are differences in upper and lower body adipose tissue biology in lipedema, and whether women with lipedema can lose weight following a diet intervention. And so what we found is that, first of all, women with lipedema are metabolically healthier, meaning that they have a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes as compared to BMI matched controls. We also
yeah,
confirmed by DEXA scan and MRI scans that there is more fat in the lower body compartments. However, diet-induced weight loss reduces fat in the thigh, although we also found that the disproportionate distribution of fat remains. So those are important findings that helps understanding a little bit better the pathophysiology of this disease.
yeah. So I'm gonna just kind of drill down a little bit on this and why and talk a little bit about how this was very sophisticated for our purposes, very sophisticated. Use the DEXA or X-ray scan and to measure the proportion and the amount of fat tissue, as well as the MRI. And then we were able and you were able to compare the percentage fat in the lipedema ladies versus the controls. And if you could just share a little bit about that, please.
Right. In this project, we conducted two main studies. The first study was to evaluate body composition, metabolic function, and adipose tissue biology in women with obesity and lipedema, and we compared them with people with obesity only. And we also had a lean control group. And so in this study, body composition was assessed by DEXA scan, which is an X-ray scan. It only lasts 10 minutes, and you can get a detailed assessment of body fat distribution. You can get an assessment of your bone mass. So you get a lot of measurements throughout your body. We also employed MRI scans to measure fat in organs like the liver or in the visceral compartments. For the metabolic function, we conducted a series of studies that allow you to really identify what organs is contributing to the metabolic function and whether or not you are healthy from a metabolic point of view. And then for the adipose tissue biology, we looked at inflammation, we looked at gene expression, and we looked at presence of fibrosis.
So I'm gonna just kind of again amplify a couple points there. One, that there was a greater proportion in the thighs, and then that decreased. The thighs decreased in both the obese and the regular obese without lipedema and the obese with lipedema, and they decreased similarly in a similar proportion, but the but still the women with lipedema remained a higher percentage of their fat in their legs. Um, and then um, and then on the insulin sensitivity, I mean, they were markedly more sensitive. And this is, I mean, I think the number is 48% more sensitive. And that's from the get-go. And so that, I mean, as you kind of already explained, that means they're less likely to develop diabetes and that sort of thing. But metabolic, that means they're metabolically healthy compared to BMI matched or
Right. So it is important to stress the point that they are metabolically healthier at this BMI. It could be with a higher BMI,
yeah.
they might not be as metabolically healthy. So the study clearly showed that weight loss should be still um, be used to stay healthy and to keep your metabolic function at a good rate.
Yeah, so that's really important, and that's one of the conclusions is that we really need to um, emphasize weight loss in our treatment of lipedema patients because it has so many healthy benefits. I mean, it helps everybody, but they do benefit, and they do benefit in as much as anybody else, and so that's really important because I feel like. There's a misunderstanding that weight loss will not help them, or and that's and I'm not saying that cures lipedema or that it changes the proportion because it doesn't, and that we want to be clear about that. But we also want to be clear that they become even healthier metabolically, and they are able to lose some of their tissue, the adipose tissue in their legs.
Right. And I think for lipedema, a multidisciplinary approach is still essential to really optimize outcomes for patients. And we know that, in alleviating symptoms, several strategies should be taken in place. And so I think a collaborations between healthcare providers, including specialists in vascular medicine, physical therapy, surgery, nutritionist is really important and crucial to improve the complex needs of these patients.
Right, right. So, I mean, surgery is still a great option and actually return some of the proportions. So can change the proportions that weight loss by itself can't. But you know, we don't want to just focus on surgery. We like just like you said, is we want to have a comprehensive treatment for these because so they get the best. So they get the best health and the best results. And I have found in my practice that treating them comprehensively, insisting on them working on their diet as well um, before, during, and after surgery is going to make them have a much better outcome and have much less risk of recurrence or progression later. So it's very important. I want to be clear that I'm not saying this that surgery is not going to be an option, but I think that we need they need to be treated comprehensively. Yeah.
Right. And our study did not assess whether weight loss improves pain or other comorbidities like mobility. So we really don't know what is the outcome um, on these parameters. So additional studies, I think future studies will really need to focus on these aspects. And I think there are some studies in the literature that have already evaluated that diet-induced weight loss could have beneficial effect on pain, but I think larger cohorts and more, validation are still needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was kind of a modified Mediterranean, so it was less less refined carbs, more balanced complex carbohydrates and yeah. It was, I mean, it's really crazy. Many of these women had, we could all have this metabolic kitchen preparing their food. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, a nutritionist putting together my meals every day. I mean, that would be great. That's usually what, kind of billionaires have, right?
Right. We were really lucky to, have enough, resources and funds to really put together a study that would control exactly the amount of calories that our participants will go throughout the day. So this was a very well-controlled study, and the compliance of our study participants was excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really lucky. They were, they were my patients I recruited, but I want to, I mean, how lucky am I to have, patients that who are so interested in helping us better understand the disease and what I mean, there's lipedema ladies are highly committed to, bringing that forward, and I really want to thank them. I just before a couple more things I want to go over is like so you looked at the biology of the tissue and looking at gene expression, et cetera, in the thigh and abdomen of the ladies, and could and you want to tell me a little bit about that? There was some increased inflammation you saw in the thighs, and yeah.
Right. We employed different techniques to measure inflammation, to measure gene expressions, to measure fibrosis. And so what we found is that women with obesity and lipedema have decreased expression of genes that regulate the lymphatic vasculature, but also the blood vasculature function. However, they do have an increased expression of genes that are important for fibrosis and inflammation. And this was in the thigh. Instead, the abdomen looked pretty healthy. In relation to the inflammation, we employed also flow cytometry, which is a technique that allows you to check cell by cell the composition of proteins that will be important to fight inflammation. And these cells were all kind of equipped with specific proteins that initiate inflammation. So we are pretty sure about those results. So they were validated using different techniques, and the thigh of people with lipedema have more inflammations. Specifically, they have more cells called macrophages that are involved in inflammation.
Yeah, so that's and I think there's been other papers. I know of a couple that have also seen the increased macrophage infiltration, which is a sign of inflammation in the thighs of women with lipedema. So that's really it's first of all it when you see it a couple different, and this is now validated, and it really, I mean, we're really on to something on what, and it's likely, we don't know for sure that this inflammation may really be causing the pain. Typically, inflammation is a common source of pain in diseases.
Right. I think that is a very important point that needs to be evaluated in future research. When we started this project, we obviously were aware of other groups that had already reported increased inflammation in the thigh. And so we are in line, our results are in line with other groups, in Europe, in the US, finding similar results. Now, the meaning of this inflammation is still unclear, and further research is needed to clarify uh, what is the cause of this inflammation, if inflammation associates with pain, and whether by targeting these immune cells, maybe we can alleviate pain as well.
Um, well, I mean, I think, is there anything else you'd like to share? I mean, first of all, congratulations. This is really, amazing work, and I'm really, you've really helped us understand things so much better. Um,
Well, thank you so much for being part of the team and for helping with recruitment. Without your help, we wouldn't be able to conduct the study. So I think this was a great team effort, between um, uh, with your help and with the help of the Lipedema Foundation and other funding sources to make the study possible.
yeah, great. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add or share? It's not so. Again, it's the paper has not. It's been accepted for publication, though it is not yet available.
Right. The paper should be available in the next few days ahead
Oh,
of print. Yes, it's been accepted for publication, so hopefully in the next few days it will be available for sharing. I think we covered pretty much most of the fundings of the research. So if just let me know if you have any more questions.
yeah, and please, if for those watching, or please reach out to me, or and I can refer that on to Vincenza, and then or Dr. Cifarelli, and then also, like, if any big funders are watching, we need more funding, we need more research.
Right. Yeah, that's a good message.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and this has been great. And I hope I I look forward to more continuing research, and helping us better understand this dastardly disease.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Wright.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking forward to I gotta yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording, and um Vincenzo, if you could just hang on for 1 second.